PE is not that great.
What do you need Russian history for?
No, we're just joking.
Right.
We were bad at it at school.
Okay.
All history is interesting, so
There you go. See, so, my name is Hans. I go by Khaki these days. I am not in any way Russian, but I was guest of honor at Russfurence in 2013. I think it was. Seems like only yesterday. And so, the person who's going to run this, and he goes by many names, so I don't know which one I should be saying. I think it's StormWind. Had asked me for some help in structuring this panel, since one of the people who was supposed to give it got stuck behind a visa blockade and is not here. That offer turned into my giving an introduction, and now that he's trapped by the first grade, that means that I'm kind of leading this panel until he shows up. I am significantly less qualified to discuss the history of the furry community in Russia than probably anyone else in this room, but I'll give it the old college try. How many of you have been to a Russian Furry Con, for example? Score! That makes me an expert!
Yes.
Right? Okay, so no, you come to these panels because you're trying to get some expert opinions, and now I can be the expert on something. We left behind some materials, which I will leave for him to discuss. This is actually quite nice. I think you're going to be really excited to get your hands on these. But you're not going to get them just yet. So, sorry?
You're doing a good job.
Thank you. I generally do. I'm used to having more people in a panel room than this, but this just shows that the people who are interested in the Russian furry community, and my God, it is a wonderful one, care more about it than about, for example, the first super parade that's going on downstairs, or all this noise that's coming from the hallway, which I'll just go deal with right now.
Good idea.
So when they asked me to come out to Russfurence, I knew very little about the Russian furry community. I knew a couple of Russian furries from online and from drinking with them at EuroFurence, but that's it. And oh my gosh, can they drink? So it was quite an interesting experience to come out there and to sort of compare it to the vibe of the furry community that we have over here in Europe, that they have in the United States, that I've been able to sample from various cons. And it is pronouncedly different. So, regrettably, there's a fairly large language barrier still between them and the, more comfortably English-speaking rest of the world, because basically everybody in Europe comfortably speaks English or understands English as a second language. They communicate, so they participate in stuff like Fur Affinity and similar furry websites, Soft Furry, etc. Which for a lot of furry artists and certainly writers and musicians is a big problem, because they're just not comfortable there. They can't sell themselves very well, even though there are ridiculously talented people out there, such as, well, Wolfie Nail is one of the better known ones over here, but he's primarily well known because his English is good enough that he has access to resources such as Fur Affinity. So, with that kind of, well, I don't want to call it an iron curtain that separates us, but the metaphor is perhaps appropriate. It's resulted in, like, the European and American furry communities don't feel as much different from each other as the Russian furry community does. It feels much younger, and I don't mean that in the age of the participants, but sort of in the age and the maturity of the subculture. Now, I'm sure they disagree, but this is my outsider's view. In the early days of the fandom over here, do we have? Oh, look!
Oh, it's me.
Hey!
Sorry for being late. I was kind of very
Yeah,
locked.
you were
Not that I would say.
Here, take your chair.
Oh, you're okay.
Keep them warmed up with some introductory material.
Anecdotes?
Well, no anecdotes yet.
Okay.
So I was talking about how the Russian furry community feels a lot tighter and a lot less individualized than the community over here. Like over here you see people hanging out with their friends, that's also making new friends, that's wonderful. But there is much less of an idea of belonging to the furry community as if that's an organization that you can contribute to and that you can participate in, as if it's a club, right? And they have much more of a sense of that over there. Everyone's not just interested in showing off their talents and hopefully getting some appreciation from it, from their friends, from their peers, from hopefully strangers who are interested. But they're very conscious of this idea that the furry community is a community, is an organization, and that you are a member of it, and that you can be a very good member by contributing to it. Right? This sounds like this is not something that's terribly common over here. I'm not saying that it's the only motivation that we have, certainly, but I found it a lot more prevalent over there, and I really enjoyed it. It resulted in a lot of a great deal of support, a great deal of, well, the sort of comfort and protection that we enjoy in the furry community as well. Just like you can walk up to complete strangers and ask them for a biscuit if they're handing out biscuits, because that's just the kind of people that we are. And they'll either give you one, or they'll, brush you in the face with a tail, or do something weird, and you may want to back away from that. But at least you're going to be safe, and you're like, it's a lot more comfortable to deal with. And I think part of this difference comes because, well, Russians have a history of very strong party affiliations, don't they?
Oh, the Red Communist Party.
Not just that, like either you're a communist, or you're a dissident, right, or you're a rebel. And there's always, it seems to be an aspect of Russian culture to be very aware of what kind of person you are, what kind of ideology you follow. That can be an organization, it can be just an attitude. Obviously, everyone's individual and they still have individuality. But so in conversations with people at EuroFurence, they very, very often sort of interrupt me to say, but before we go on, you have to understand that I'm not a furry, I'm a toonster. I'm an anime person. Like it's, as if I should appreciate that, you're not one of the people. I can't open up to you as much as I would to one of the furry community, because you're actually not one. So this idea of belonging to the community, it results in people being generous in a bit of a different way than they are in the rest of the furry realm. There's a very insular, not a very insular, but there is some semblance of this idea that the Russian furry community is sort of isolated, but not in a bad way. Isolated as in, we're together and we're banding together in the hotel, and it's our own little world where little things like copyright law apparently don't matter.
Self-consciousness, maybe.
Self-consciousness.
Yeah, of the community, maybe.
That's possible. Yeah. Well, I do remember that they, when the art auction was overscheduled and they started showing stuff on the screen, that they showed Bitterlick, the fursuit movie, and I'm pretty sure they didn't license that. And they were selling all sorts of buttons with heavily copyrighted artwork that, okay, apparently that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. No, exactly.
What we want.
Yeah, like nobody's here. Well, like that's part of the sort of iron curtain between our cultures that makes them feel safe. So I've now been talking about you people as if you're a very interesting set of specimens, and perhaps it's time that you give us the real perspective.
Yes, you were talking very good. No, thank you for it. I actually have some kind of event plan, but things are not going by the plan.
No, we're missing one of the presenters.
Yeah, with
Never
many
admit that it's not
presenters.
going according to plan. Never admit that it's not going according to plan.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It was planned.
Just change the plan, right? And just go on.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
First, I want to introduce myself. I'm StormWind, and I'm a furry wolf from Russia, of course, from Moscow. Actually, I'll try to conduct this panel with the help of my friend Khaki.
Why did you say friend like that? With my friend?
Sorry, I just
Okay,
remembering
well,
the
thanks.
word.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, that's
My
language better.
comrade.
My comrade, yeah. Maybe. Okay. I must say that it was announced in a con book that there will be another main speaker, Lozi Chidek, but he couldn't attend the con, and I'm the second one in command, as to say, and I will try to cope with it somehow. Okay. Really, it's because there are so few of us here. Maybe we'll just will not do it as a lecture or something. Just asking questions and answering them. Maybe something like this. I don't want to make a lecture on 1 hour lecture about nothing, and it will not be that interesting. I think.
Well, since you're being recorded, you may talk to the world.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah, there is that. So
Some people are very interested, although they live on the other side of the world.
Okay.
Perhaps it would be
Let's make
interesting.
this less.
Perhaps it would be interesting to talk a little bit about the current state of the Russian furry community,
Okay.
and then build the history from there.
Good idea. Okay. Current state. When I attended EuroFurence last year, it was like something like thing you can see as an example of what might be in the Russian furry community in 5 years or something like this. But this year it's came to another level of existence somehow, and I think we couldn't, due to some circumstances and other things, we couldn't grow that big anytime soon, maybe never.
Some of us Germans also feel the same about it. So yeah, it's all been taking off very quickly in the past years. And if you look at convention attendance numbers, they're actually growing exponentially. So yeah, that is the same.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Yes.
and I myself, I have no anything I wanted. We asked for
Projector.
some kind of projector, yeah, and screen, but they couldn't spare anything because too many panels, I think, I don't know, or not in this room. I'm myself is the chief editor of the Russian Furry Almanac of furry literature and art. It's annual fanzine that's coming out from 2003, I think. Yeah, 2003, first issue. And I was looking at the growing of the furry community from that time. It's interesting how some ideas came from European furry community, and they try to do something in the local community with it, some material, some print, and some other stuff, or trends for the artists and things like this. But sometimes it's more like it's growing inside something different than in rest of the world. I say not rest of the world, of course, but in European, in English-speaking community. So to say, because Russian-speaking community, in many ways, not only in furry community, but in cultural sense, it's a little bit encapsulated, and it's generating meanings and memes inside itself, not only taken from another culture. Yes, and let's say internet, the RUNET is some phenomena that a Russian segment of the network is much bigger than many national state some segments, because it has its own search engine, Yandex, and Google is statistically around 15%, used around 15%. It's not forbidden or something. It was very open until a recent time when they started this kind of information war and propaganda war. But it's still open. But it's like a language barrier mostly. And in many aspects of a culture, like internet and like furry community also. It is that segmented. For example, Fur Affinity is an international gallery. We have our own gallery, furnation.ru, and it was actually, I was a part of creating it. I was, so to say, inspirational and
One of the founders.
One of the founders that inspired the programmer and my other friend, artist friend, to join together to form this kind of network because it is easier to share ideas, comments, talk to each other in our own language, in English. And because of this, many artists who can't even speak English very well. Even here, they come into EuroFurence and they try to present their works, but they poorly speak in English.
Yeah.
And that's mostly it's because there is not much incentive to learn English, because a Russian community is that vibrant,
Yes.
that it is enough, that it is just enough, not very. For example, I have spoken to some from what country from was maybe French or Paris. They have forums, and is anybody from France here? No. They have a forum and have a small forum meet like this, but they mostly do all their social time, very social time, in international websites. And it's in many cases it's a case. How can you share it? It's in Holland. So
It's the same thing. We have a
Yeah.
couple of forums. Not everybody uses them. Basically, everybody goes on FA.
yes, and they.
I'm sure this is true for most nations.
And I'm just I had this impression that they are quite small forums. They're not
Yes.
very many furries using them, even if they live in this country. They're not using their local forum
Yes.
somehow. Yeah.
Well, it's because as furries, we have loads of international friends.
Yes,
we
of
build
course.
our friend circles independent of geography.
Yeah,
And some
yeah.
nations, they have a very vibrant culture of arranging local firm meets, but not everybody does that, because it all depends on who's willing to organize it. And when you've got maybe 100 people in the community in a given country, there's not a guarantee that there's going to be any great organizers among them, despite the fact that some of them may think so.
That is, in one way, it's great because we must try to erase borders and everything like this and come to a more unified society. But in different way, it's a little bit overwhelming for local communities because they are not that encapsulated and they cannot produce meanings in their own language, in their own. For literature, for example, they try to write in English, not in French, mostly.
Yeah.
And that's it's a complicated matter, I think. But in Russian furry community, that's a little bit different because many furries are not learning English very well. They can't express themselves that way, and because of this, they use their own language. They're expressing themselves in literature, for example, that I'm fond of.
Well, can you tell us something about how these resources emerged? Because it seems like the primary mediums through which the Russian furry community share their work and get appreciation and dual and possibly also commerce. Bunch, and do we love money? Even though we don't make a whole lot of it. So you mentioned Furnation.ru, you mentioned Arfi.
Yeah.
So can you tell us something about the pick one? What was and describe kind of the history of how it came to be?
Oh, It's a spontaneous event, actually. I cannot even remember when. One time, I was with my friends. We were preparing to go on a trip to St. Petersburg from Moscow by car, and then to upwards by the map in Petrozavodsk. It's a smaller town. More like a tundra or something, on a tourist trip, so that's wild tourism. I've decided that I know enough furry writers in Moscow mostly to create an almanac, a small booklet, I don't know.
Like a Reader's Digest.
Yes,
like a compendium.
digest of some random art and random literature, poetry, and everything. And I decided, why not? Just we've gathered together and made the template, and so we printed it. And we spread it not only locally in Moscow, but where we were going in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Often with Paris we meet by the way, by the way, not that far. Oh, and that's why. That's how. Sorry, that's how it came to life.
And how is Arfi distributed currently? Like you print it yourself and you sell it for profit, or?
No, it's like a self-sustaining foundation, like Wikipedia. I don't know, but smaller, of course, much more. And we just making it to make sure that to tell everybody that we're still here. Yeah, hello, we're still here. It's a fanzine. It's interesting. On the opening ceremony of EuroFurence, they presented the Sofa Wolf guests of honor, and they told that it was like a crisis. Comic books in some of the publishers survived and some not. And that time has not come. Not yet. It's only. It's just there are some also fan-made publishings and some fanzines becoming to emerge recently. At least around 2 or 3 years ago. I must mention the Hugs Journal and it's
Hugs is in
Hugs and Hugs, yeah. And it's a part of a furry radio, We Furries, in Russian, internet radio, of course. They writing interesting articles about small fur-mits conventions in Siberia, something in Samara, and, around the country, around the vast, quite vast field of how to say, of interest of them.
Yeah.
They have a lot of work to do. I mean, yeah, they may write for another couple of years. But earlier, just 3, 4, 5 years, I think, there was nothing except our publication, and sometimes it's emerged one issue and it's died. some other magazines and initiatives, as I say.
That's not a purely Russian thing.
Yes, of course, of course. I mean, it's very poor. It's from one side, I am told that it's very, it's quite vast and enough and sufficient. But in other ways, it's quite poor and small. So it's a duality. I don't understand how it's happening. It's sociological or something, problem, anthropological matter that we cannot understand. I don't know. But it is so. It's just a fact.
It's just very young. It needs to develop. I
Yes,
think.
of course. And by the way, there are always some outer pressure, not literally speaking, that someone bans something with too small to even notice this. to even notice us. But I mean in a psychological way. So it's maybe, I don't know, famous ban of gay propaganda someone heard in media. It was not that hard as it was presented in European or Western media, but it was psychologically not comfortable for many Paris. And actually, our laws, it's not that laws in Europe, we have a saying in Russia, the harshness of Russian laws
Is matched only by the...
No, it's balanced. It's balanced only by the unnecessity of their abiding by them. Yeah, and it's mostly because of corruption things or something. You can pay your way out, and it not that straight, but small things that doesn't matter. If you
Laws
murder something, of course,
laws are optional.
Yes,
like this.
but if you making a gay propaganda, you can just bribe the policeman with a small amount, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Yeah.
But you can't pay your way out of being gay. I mean.
No, of course.
Something like this.
But it's not a crime to be.
Feels like a tax, doesn't it?
It's not a crime. It's just don't say it publicly. That's all. You can do everything you want privately.
Just don't admit to anyone that it exists.
It's kind of no say policy in U.S. Army was a little bit.
But so, does the furry community in Russia give a shit about these rules?
Not actually not. As you were saying, quite interesting point. I share it about the dissident community. It was how to say, somehow consolidated. I don't know. So the different groups, about different groups you were talking. So they maybe in the times that when it was necessary to protect itself, the culture somehow developed the mechanisms to cope with the danger and to be good people. Everybody started to preemptive, how to say, I'm a little bit confused how to formulate this.
Say in Russian.
Okay, you can translate? Okay. А я имею в виду, что они пытались сформулировать принадлежность к какой-то группе, заранее предупредив окружающих, для того, чтобы не нести ответственность за то, что они... Да, это...
They wanted to say that they belong to a certain group to warn everybody. Что там дальше?
Yeah, to warn everybody. Предупредить их, чтобы не нести ответственность за возможные последствия.
They wanted to warn everybody just not to have any bad consequences for them.
Bad consequences for not for them, but for other people that were
not to be responsible for anything.
Yes. Not to make harm.
Yeah. Not to make harm. Not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds a lot like a neo subculture that is, but crossing the line of legality.
Yeah, maybe.
Subculture, like early anything really that is crossing the line.
Yeah. Yes. And Russia, and especially this part of Germany, has quite a bit of historical experience.
Yes, it came from the dissident movement that actually made a very, very influence on culture in general, in Russian culture. It's because the most vulnerable people were the cultural elite, the writers, the musicians, and it was a paradox
If you have a high public profile, obviously you're going to be a target.
Yes, and we in every aspect of culture began to copy this as the time passed, copy this mechanism, but it's not necessary actually. It's just atavism, I don't know, from earlier time.
Yes. Well, it's in your culture. I mean,
Yes.
even if you've never participated indirectly, the
Yes.
things that your ancestors did, they resonate through your society, and they leave behind a sense of certain values that are just very natural to you.
Yeah, maybe because of this, because the society don't trust anyone, that don't trust the big organizations, big party leaders, I don't know, governments and everything. They create in that closed and protected society, society communities that try to be below the water. I don't know.
Yeah, under the radar. Because you have
Below the
like
radar.
historical cultural heroes that were dissidents, that are famous for their writing, for their music, for their art during the oppression of communism, and that are now venerated. There's statues in Moscow. I forget which one I wound up being taken to. I think there's one in Oldarbat for the sort of hunched over little writer dude, and he was a famous writer who covered dissident topics. Does the Russian furry community sort of follow in that tradition?
Unconsciously, as I just told, it's unconscious copying of a stereotypical behavior. I don't know, something like this. And actually, it was a dual problem even in the times when the oppression was going on, because actually the society, it was how to say, show off oppression, show off oppression from a government, because the government officials by themselves often liked that artists, and they tried to show that they are punishing them, but not punishing them.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting thing, and it's going from the top to the bottom of the society at all, as a whole. But I really came much around the real topic on that is what I'm going to say.
Well, if we're talking about the history
Yes.
of the Russian furry community, like
I
these are aspects that-
began to share some thoughts about society and sociology
these are
and
very
anything.
interesting.
Yes, I remember reading, Russian stories, the kid stories, folklore, and all that as a kid. There were a lot of animal stories in there. Usually the fox as the villain, the cunning bastard, and then the poor wolf had his tail frozen in the pond and whatever. So do you think that these old pre-communism time stories influence the Russian furry community now?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. Actually, my mind was wandering really around the different topics I was thinking about lately, but not that matters in this panel. And thank you very much that you brought us back. Yeah, actually, yes, this fairy tales that's very rich. Has very rich history, not of course the pre-communist, even maybe pre-empire, pre-Russian Empire. It's a much earlier stage in development. It's like when the Slavic tribes were from Kiev, I don't know, were spreading around and forming new cities like Moscow and everything, and Novgorod, of course. They were creating these folk tales, but they are like many folk tales I heard in Germany also, and in
I imagine that we share a lot of the same fables.
yes, these fables I think more prehistoric than we tend to think.
Yes.
Yes, there are animal archetypes in them in many cultures.
Aesop's fables are not that different from the Renard the Fox stories in terms of the characterization of the animals and the kind of adventures that they have and the morals that we're supposed to take out of them.
Yes, they are quite the same. It's very likely, and even in some African tales that I was reading in my childhood, I had a book called Tales of Countries of the World, or something like this. And they are also, but with leopards and possums or something.
Coyotes, spider.
Yes, and they are like this, like the same thing with another characters, like the same story again. It's a kind of, I think it's more prehistoric fables.
It's older than the Russian word.
Yes. And it's interesting for me, really, how the different human cultures, the whole global human culture protects these animal archetypes in it. Always replicating them.
Yes.
Maybe there is something for furries that we do not understand yet. I mean our mission to replicate this.
In the West, you can identify some major waves in the swell of the population of the furry community. There are the Robin Hood furries from the 1980s, the Disney films. There are the Lion King furries that came in around 1992. One, thank you. Well, so okay, bit of time to later. And then later on, sorry, I guess Digimon and anime were also another wave in popularity. And each of these media served as sort of a gateway for a lot of people who had latent interest in animal archetypes and animal art, and they wind up in a massive surge discovering furry community. And I don't know what's currently happening. I don't know what's popular on television. I haven't watched live television in 5 years. But undoubtedly, we're due for some other new cool... Wait, hold on. Isn't there a movie coming with a fox or a frog or something? Sort of dystopian kind of thing. Anyway, so stuff's on the way. Kaze, Ghost Warrior, was just announced. That makes it to television.
Also the raccoon, the
Rocket
Raccoon.
Wow! The Galaxy, that's a kick-ass raccoon.
Yeah, it totally is. So now we have a...
Okay.
Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. It came out 3 weeks ago, and now 2/3 of America wants to fuck a raccoon. So we're going to see another surge of interest well, pretty definitely. It's happened before. We're going to see another surge of people who discover the furry community and join us, and that is awesome. But so presumably, English language media doesn't have the same impact as in Russia as it does here. I mean,
yes.
You dub it. But you also have a very rich cinema of your own and loads of animation.
Cinema, it's a little bit different. Cinema, we like cinema, but not that intellectual. I mean, Hollywood movies and everything are widespread.
Yes.
It's more than 50% of in theaters and everything. It's just translated and shown to. Publicly, it has very big revenues.
Well, yes, but having like a little less than 50% of your own nation's cinema playing in the theaters, that's
actually
very
much
impressive.
less, much less actually, because I'm just was not sure what the number, but it's latest developments. They're beginning to support the local, the national cinematography again. And they made it something like a quota to make it 30% or something, but it's not filling the quota. There is not enough films and not enough production to.
And what's worse, the movies that are being supported are generally bad.
Oh. Well, you have
I
the
think
history.
it's
What about
their
the what's it called? The musicians of Bremen.
Bremen, yeah.
So this is a very famous one.
Yes.
It's an animated film. It's from the
But that's from communist times.
Oh, yeah. Still, it has a lot of it has a lot of dissident imagery in it. Still,
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking surreal. But yes, it's about animal people. And can you describe it a bit more? I mean, was this something that triggered interest in the furry community in its time?
Maybe because it's a very it's a film that held dear by many furries,
Yes.
and music from it.
They can all sing the theme tune.
Yes. They discovered it when they were at Russian Furence last year.
Yeah, Fox and
Fox Amour, when with Haki was with Fox Amour, some event
yeah, but
collective jam, collective
well,
jam,
yes.
station, and they started the different musicians and Fox Amour, Russian musicians, and they played different music, and the time they decided to teach Fox Amour to this song, and everybody began to sing.
That was beautiful.
It's interesting. Yes.
Then again, they also knew all the words to "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" and
Yeah.
"In the Jungle." So I guess they're just generally very musical over there.
Oh, that's a special one, because the Lion King community was the Kickstarter to the furry community in Russia. I remember this because they were gathering at Fido.net. Fido.net, you remember that thing?
Yes.
Yes, it was quite popular in Russia, and then came the internet. But previous to the internet, most furry echo conferences, I think it was called, in that network, and let's say mail conferences. They were gathering there. It was Ru.Furry and Ru.Toon, and the most of the fans there were Lion King fans firstly, and this film, this Disney animated movie, the first Velka, not the second one, was some kind of iconic in the community. Everybody knew that, and many furries came to the community because of it. From the forum. Actually,
Yes.
for me it was the same experience. I've discovered that some old forum, by the way, English-speaking forum, American, I think it was in the United States, but it was an international forum. Pridelands, maybe some different. I can't remember the main name right now. And I was reading stories there, fan-made stories about Prideland and how it's in sci-fi setting, when the lions were making some kind of war with humans, anthropomorphic lions.
Right.
Because, and
Laser space.
yes,
ninja wizard
something
ones.
like
yeah.
this.
No, this sounds awesome. I'm totally into this.
I remember vaguely. And after this, I began to search the art and anthropomorphic animals, and I came to furry community. It was 1998, maybe 99.
Who here discovered the furry community through the Lion King? Really? Okay, let me specify that. Well, for me, it wasn't the Lion King. Like, for me, it was straight up porn. Who discovered it through porn? Yeah. Okay. Right. So maybe my whole theory about these media being a gateway is no longer applicable now. That
Yes.
we just go porn. Rule 34. Rocket Raccoon. Bring it on, actually.
I'm sure they don't exist, so.
Maybe just a small sample.
Well, yeah.
But then again, we discovered it through straight porn.
Oh, straight.
Next the door.
Okay.
I don't know. As long as there's a dick in it, I'm interested.
Well, at least a lot of the participants from the EuroFurence 1 were from the Lion King fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is accidentally, not me, but I know of 5 or 7 others. So.
Wow, that's great. Oh, maybe someone have another question to guide us to more.
That's possibly sure, go ahead.
I'm interested because you brought up like the Japanese culture before, and then think about the Japanese fursuits. They're incredibly influenced by anime. And is there a similar thing in Russia? Because I feel like a lot of Russian fursuiters have more realistic outlook on them.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing. And I was
Well, it's a
going to
very
say,
interesting question. Thank you. Actually, the first seating, I have a little bit different opinion. The first seating is mostly copied from European or United States American studios, and there are many different styles. For example, there are new suits of bust mirroring. She is just. Maybe you saw it. It's a cat, black cat with an Egyptian.
Oh, I've seen
Yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
And she is creating her own style, a little different than. But previously, there are many fursuiters, Dafka, for example, or Steel. Maybe you saw some of his fursuits. They were creating fursuits on the basis of manuals and forums from
Abroad.
abroad, from abroad. And there was toon suits most of the time. It's now changing to realistic ones, but it's mostly the single works, not conveyor something, not many.
It's mostly that you have just one or two, maybe three extremely talented artists
Yes.
in Russia. The chap, what was his name? Was his name Doc Griffin? With the beautiful white line with the braids.
Just Griffin, I thought.
Just-
maybe
yes.
Dark Griffin.
Maybe that's the one who.
We know him as Griffin.
Yeah.
But he may.
But like he is a master builder, like that man's an artist. The heads that he sculpts are absolutely out of this world. Same with Bust. Like she's just incredible. During the last EuroFurence, she gave this body painting that was incredible. They weren't allowed to do that here, but had a really fit dude that she turned into a snow leopard. It was gorgeous.
Actually, I thought I
The
think
leopard
about it
review.
now, and maybe it's a
The
valid
leopard
point.
review.
Yes.
When we beginning to make something, search for our own style, not copying. Really, yeah.
There is something
Tends
I
towards.
wanted to address also. From what I've seen from the current state of the Russian communities, I was interested in the subculture within the subculture. Right? So I look at things and I dive quite deeply into different parts of the fandom, and some are different. Right? With the Russian sub-communities, I don't have a terrible lot of experience. I don't speak Russian, so obviously it's a bit limited. But I've made some Russian contacts in the past year, which is also why I'm interested in being here. To learn a bit more about your subculture. But there seems to be a prevalence for the military and a more realistic, more emotional. No, really, in the artwork that I've seen. Uniforms are very prevalent.
Yeah, I can get behind it. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. I can get behind this.
Behind uniforms or behind this observation?
Behind this observation.
Yeah. I noticed it as well.
So I guess my question is going to be just what do you think are the special what distinguishes the Russian fandom from any other?
From furry.
Yeah.
Actually, can I ask this as a broader question? Because I observed it as well.
Yes.
Especially with younger people dressing in camo and like it wasn't a fetishism. Like it was just an affectation. Is military service for younger people more common in Russia than it is in Europe and in America? And is it therefore more familiar to people?
Yes, actually, that may be the case because we have
Obligatory
service. And
Right.
Yes. Some of course, of us don't serve because we
Manage to evade it, yeah.
or
Somehow.
Yeah.
Yes, for different
But you
reasons.
still have
the
mandatory
lawful way,
service.
of course. Sometimes that's when you're receiving a high degree of education, for example, scientific degree or something.
Yeah.
And but many people are actually familiar with this from the early after school. Yeah, and because of this, it may be influencing the art style somehow.
I imagine that it would.
Yeah.
I mean, as an artist, you create what you know and what you feel strongly about, and well, it's hard to imagine an environment that is more emotionally charged than a military organization, that kind of discipline and building your identity.
Yes.
But
Maybe
also
it is the
self-respect
case.
and pride is one of the functions of the organization. So,
but it is interesting actually how the view from outside shows the things that we were not really thinking about in Russian Furry Community, because it's not that obvious for us. Not that it of
special.
Course, yes, not that special.
Yeah.
Of course, if we measure to count all the works and try to make statistics, statistical distribution of it, maybe we'll find some peaks in that.
well, like genuinely. So I was just standing here on the overlook, looking at the people preparing for the fursuit parade, and there was no military garb there. Like they were pretend, there were sort of cartoony imitations of military garb, or exaggerations, but not camo or functional, the kind of thing that I saw a lot on fursuiters and on the very fit and sexy security staff at restaurants, by the way. But again, like not fetishized. It's just a fashion.
It's interesting because there is one particular group of fursuiters that are led by one artist. I think it's called her name, and she is promoting that style. She made very many fursuits, and they're mostly from roleplay community. I mean, not in fetish make, but in some reconstructional outdoor activity.
LARP?
Yes. And they are going not only to furry conventions, but to conventions of medieval fighting and everything. Not only medieval, but Fallout, reconstruction, something, games, and everything like this. And they are promoting it there, and because of their running around all the conventions, it may be seen that there are many of them, but not many Russian fursuiters actually use these attributes.
No, but if it's 2 out of 100, that's a lot more than none
yes,
out of
of
1,000.
course. Not 2, but around 5, I think.
5 out of
5 of them. It's a
Zero.
team of players with different roles, I think. It's like it.
I think there were a few questions that came up while we were discussing the subject. That's what
Yeah, but just I just want to say that I knew who the artist you're talking about. I didn't really have a question.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, maybe we'll try to present the furry stuff. I don't know.
It's your thing. I don't actually know what this is.
I agree. You're right.
Of course not.
Okay, that's okay.
I put it in my room and then I drank. Stuff happens. It's EuroFurence.
That's okay. I understand. As it was written, monumental. In Combook, we wanted to present our new project here, the Furry Stuff project. I'll try to explain a little bit what this means. It's actually just about the current state of Russian furry community and maybe some chimerical aspects you mentioned earlier, because there are at some point in our field we've learned that we need to support Russian furry artists because that of them that has not entered the international websites due to language barrier or something like this, they have no ability to develop themselves, to take commissions and to make money out of their work, and so by doing so develop their skills on a better level, not working most of the time and doing something in a Sunday or Saturday, but the best of them, to make the possibility for the best of them to make some living out of their work and so develop their skills further. And that is why we created that gift set of items which are commissioned. You hear how it is working. You I don't know that you fill in the questionnaire and you can make it clear what you like. Maybe you like the small sculptures, figurines, or maybe you like commission an artwork or just want some stickers on mug with print or plush toy or something like this. It's a small thing. Or a t-shirt with special design. And you feel this and feel your preferences about what art do you like, what species do you like, what species are you, maybe you just use your persona and describe it or send us a file via mail and everything. And you pay in advance, that's for commission, and waiting for the gift set to be made. But it's the main point of this, it's a surprise gift box. Maybe some of you heard or saw on YouTube these many chimerical gift boxes like Loot Crate and everything, Nerd Block. They are sending the stuff, what is Marvel made, promo from movies and everything like this, pop figures. But it's mostly the, as I call it, cheap Chinese stuff. So it's not handmade, it's nothing, it's just a mass product, mass produce that can be made cheaper than it is selling. This is different. This is like a commission to artists, handmade commission, but we are collecting all these works and make it into a gift box. So it's sent to our customers, or as we tend to call them, attendees, so, like supporters or something. Yes, and we tried around this project. We created it not long ago, just 1 year, and the first box is already beginning to arrive. We saw some pictures on the Twitter or maybe Vkontakte. It's a network, social network like a Facebook in Russia, and our followers are happy, so to say. And we try to continue. And by the way, it's not only it's helping artists to a little bit further promote their work. Yeah. And here we also wanted to promote. Of course, we're doing some of these things earlier because we're printing posters like for artwork every year. Different posters from different years.
And these are the covers for the Arfi books?
Yes, there's also
the digest.
I can give you these free samples like to compensate for my bad speech.
No, you've been doing great. Hasn't he been doing great?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Here this another use this earlier.
Okay. Louder, louder.
So that's our project. We have a postcards, but it's not postcards. Just
so
cards.
presumably none of this is free. Well, the furry stuff box. So is it a subscription basis? Is it a profit share with the artist?
Yes, of course. It's most of the profit is shared with the artist. About we're estimated that we need about 15 to 20% for operational costs. Standing, collecting all items, sent for them via mail and via DHL and everything, because they're sometimes in different parts of country. Yeah. So we allocated about 80% to direct commissions and 20% for for operational costs. But from this 80%, some finances may go to develop a serial item like this cards, for example, many cards. But it's commission. We are commissioning art for the card and printing it, exposing it. It's not been. We have not been doing great because we, of course, as every project starts, we just underestimated the costs.
Yes.
And of course,
Well done.
we tried to compensate out of the pocket and out of donations. Actually, we have quite a few donations from Russian Furry Community members who liked the idea and thank very very much because it's a quite new development in our actually in the Russian Furry Community. A little commercialization, because earlier it was artists couldn't make money with their work most of the time. It was very cheap and no one. We have this culture to pay for commissions actually. No, not that spread, and many new members just have no enough money.
Yes.
It's plain like this. Yes. We also making that's lousy part actually. He was not able to visit us this year because he was rejected the visa.
Crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he wanted that badly. I heard about it.
yes. And he was going to talk about his project inside our old little initiative. ARFI stands for Art Russian Furry Initiative in English acronym, and in Russian, if you translate it directly, I would say it's Russian Furry Art Association. It's a great name for a small organization, really.
But on the one hand, I appreciate that you wanted to make sure that the acronym was the same in Russian and in English.
Yes, it was.
But then you can only Google it.
RIF. No,
RFI. Yeah.
Okay, this is a disc example of a disc that we're creating. It's a musical part of Russian furry fandom, and not only Russian furry fandom actually. By the way, we are always abiding by copyright law inside the furry community, even if it's not asked.
Right.
Not enforced. I mean, it's voluntarily, because we think that furry artists must receive fair compensation for their work, and we try to develop our own furry artists.
Yes.
So that's it's not our policy.
No. I just meant regarding
I know
material that comes from
understand,
outside your border
yes.
that aren't in your community.
But we
They're
try
fair game.
always to make it the compromises, of course, sometimes maybe ask the authors of fair use, as was with Fox Amor, because on the 2013, I think, there was some promo tracks from Fox Amor, full tracks, just to show him his work to our part of the community. And we asked him to give it freely because we wanted to show his work. Just
Like ARFI, that disc is non-profit.
Yes, actually, this disc is non-profit because it has, but the whole bundle. There is a bundle. Where is it? I forgot to bring the magazine itself. It's small one, like this format.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. Oh, maybe here. Oh, yeah. No, it's your actually your one.
Oh my
Because
goodness,
I was
that behind, right?
No, not that really. You forgot to take it from me. You asked because there was the translation of your article here.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
so this is the art fanzine. It has inner cover. Yeah.
Maybe pass it around.
Maybe yes. It's yours. It's
Well,
yours.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please don't leave any weird stage on it, please.
Oh, it's wrapped in some kind of poetry. Russian
Oh.
poetry. I was choosing for the actually for the edition.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna need a translation. I know what it's about though.
You may take it if you like.
This actually says month, right?
Month.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a name. It's a name of
Oh.
the third poem.
I thought it referred to the
It's
food
actually.
because I had that one. It was out there. It was delicious.
Oh yeah, there is.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's
An English quote and an English title, but
Was
the
best.
best story is in Russian.
Yes.
I think you see that in other languages as well.
Is there to keep keeping
So
so
it's
it's like no?
expected in this.
So, do you plan on shipping the box internationally, worldwide, or just Russia?
Yes, we're planning to ship it in Europe actually, not internationally. It's too much cost. In Europe, yes, there is a transport companies that can deliver some things to many countries. To Germany, of course.
How big is it?
It's around that size.
Oh wow.
Yes. Actually, I could show you photos, but we have no projector. Maybe.
everybody's sitting right here.
Yes.
Okay, it works.
Just let me see this. Maybe somewhere here. Somewhere.
Maybe that's around some of the brochures.
Oh yeah, of course. Leave them. You may take them with you. And this is it's a full catalog, but it's more like brief introduction. What is it? What is furry stuff?
You guys have one yet?
I will distribute it back from the different.
I think we're already there.
There's just so much
Anyone?
missing out because of
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is.
Pretty cool stuff, right?
All right.
Those crazy Russians.
Can I have one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Here you are.
Oh, 100
Yes,
euros.
it's not mine.
No, for like all this, no.
You couldn't attend EuroFurence
Aw.
this year. No, he wasn't here at all.
Like 6 months?
I'm trying to
3 to 6 months?
something.
Well, 100
Oh, hey. Still needs to be. Right. I like the idea.
Yes,
It's cool, right?
It's interesting. We received actually a great support in.
And how much is the box?
Do you have one
Huh?
or two questions?
How much is the box? How much is the subscription?
We estimate that it will be around 100 euros.
Not bad.
Okay.
It's a commission after all.
Oh yes.
No, it's not a single commission, it's a
Yes,
box
yes,
of
it's
commissions
not single
that you're getting.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Commissioning
And hopefully well packed, so it doesn't.
They of
arrive-
course may not be from the most famous and renowned artists,
Well,
but
that's kind
still
of the
we're
point.
trying to look for quality works
Yeah.
and promote artists not only from Russia but internationally
Yes.
to show new names
Yes.
that make good work. Ah. Oh, here that, yeah.
I really like the concept.
No, I have
It's not
a
something that
possibility
has
to show you.
been done before in the furry or
Okay.
the Anglophone furry community.
Uh-huh. It's one of our followers. He received the box. Here is the box, and he
Hold it up
came
so
to
we can
work
back
to.
and see.
There it's done, and unpacked it, and so he shared this with his friends on contact in the network.
I mean, just the box is impressive.
Yes, this is his main item. It's a statue. It's quite large, actually. He's a werewolf. He has special preferences for the coloring, of course, and for the theme of the work, that it will be not just portrait, but something like he's standing on a rock It's inspired actually by the works of Golden Wolf and Wolf Road and everything like this, because he made clear in his number 6 here is what artists do you like and what things you like, what styles you like in furry art. So we made him this by the great talented artist Corpse Dragon. You haven't heard of her because she is not very much known in the English-speaking community. She can, but she's doing great things. And we like to share. This is the T-shirt. It's actually a limited print. It's not a single item. And it's the same same artist as this post cards, Knocked Mine. He's also not very. He has an account in Furaffinity, but there is not a lot of works there.
He's an art gallery as well.
Yes. These small items, this pin, it's a magnet, and some K-rings and everything. It's a flash disk. You also receive all your works commissioned in the if it's in the digital, you receive it on a flash just to use as you saw fit. Because it's here. It's from a different angle. Just this box, how it is on his couch. I don't know. And this is what you're holding in your hands. In Russian, it's inside of a box. There is a figure is in here, actually for safer transportation. There are some other things back and print on a mark. It's also and this is special art. I don't know. No, here. It's his commissioned art from Orphan series. He's for Sono.
Framed and everything. That's awesome.
Yes, and it's framed. No, but it's a cheap frame. It's just mainly the art.
No, but still, like it's framed and all that.
Yes, it's but Orphan series you may know. She was attending EuroFurence and her works were sold on an auction, and so you may heard of her. She is a very, very famous artist in the Russian Furry Community. Like, I don't know, Khakidoggy in Europe. Yeah, that's the first box, and I actually may have another one. I think one, yeah. I have not much here.
So when did you start this project?
It's just 1 year ago on EuroFurence. I'm always the new year for me is EuroFurence actually because we're helping the organizer. I was organizer myself last year with the con book mostly, printing and con book. And the last year it was it so happened so that we were not only doing con book as usual, but we were doing the stuff for sponsors and super sponsors, so that special badges, special things, special T-shirts and everything, design them and make them from scratch. And that's why I thought, why not? Why not to make it not only con-based, not only for sponsors and super sponsors. And actually I was very excited to, I'm a YouTuber, but not that making videos, and I was watching them all the time, all the free time, when I'm not involved in furry projects or something. And I'm looking these unboxing videos for Loot Crate, Nerf Cube, different box of Dread, I don't know, different kinds of boxes from all around the world, mostly United States. But I was thinking, maybe something connecting here, yeah. Maybe this one and this one can connect. And I decided to make this very stuff, and we tried to make it different, of course, as I told, because I didn't want to make it some cheap stuff that you pack and in. I wanted a special commission, so it will be personal. That's why we created this thing. So I have. It's not obligatory. You may. I mean, if you feel it, you may not pay something. We just collecting some data about preferences and everything in European Furry Community. You may just read them as well.
It may take a while to fill out.
Yes.
It's probably not
As
something
you don't
I
have
do
to have
right
pens.
now.
Oh no! I think it will be best that you fill them when you are comfortable. I mean, at a room or something, and you may send it via mail if you have a scanner. And actually, we have on our site is an English page there in English where you can fill this. You cannot fill it online yet. We're working on it, but you can download a file.
Yeah.
And fill it and send us. But we're still working sometimes with paper and pen.
It's reliable.
Yes.
Ish.
Reliable-ish.
Maybe for German efficiency.
Well, we have no way. It's with your RFU copy. It's
excellent.
Oh, where is the RFU magazine? I was. No, that book. Can you please? I wanted to show. Of course, after a moment. That was the bundle of 2030. It's an interesting one. On the disc it says 2014. Here it's 2030, but it's a bundle because it's a kind of funny story. This annual, because it's annual fanzine, it was collected from the authors for the as a to make a total. I don't know how to collected for 1 year, for a last year.
It was collected over the course of 2013.
Yes,
it was published in 2014.
But it's published on 2014, and it says here it's a tradition from the first issue that it is its number is what that year that works were from.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And for Murph, it's a project that started that from ARFI 2005, I think. ARFI, a couple of years after the initial magazine, and it wasn't. It was named differently, so it became to differ in counts. I think it means that it's to ARP in 2030, 2004. And after 2005, actually, we started to create a poster with it. So it's a bundle that is going, distributed on EuroFurence mostly and on EuroFurence, Ukrainian Furence. Because it's Russian speaking and it's also called because of this the almanac of Russian speaking furry art and not Russian furry art because it's not Russian, it's Russian speaking. We have many authors from different parts of from Lithuania, from Ukraine, with a wonderful art writer from Hunter. She's Lioness, I think. Wonderful author from Ukraine, and of course we distribute it there. I was there actually not long ago on when this event. Yes, no, sorry, I forgot.
I was curious.
And no one, almost no one came last year, this year when they had this queue. How to say when the main government buildings were taken or something like that.
Oh, the coup.
Coup, yeah. Coup.
Yes. No. Yeah, I imagine that having a revolution.
Yes,
is a
in
bit of a
that,
distraction.
just after that, it was WOOF annual 2014, and Basil Lyon, he's the chief organizer of that event. We try to support him, and because many attendees had not come because of the events.
Yeah.
They just canceled the registration from Russia. It's filled for 50%, I think, with
Wow.
Russian furs, because the Russian furry community is much larger.
Yes.
And it's Russian speaking, it's comfortable to go there. Of course, not EuroFurence, so you need to learn language, to need to take visa, receive visa, and everything, not always receiving it how it's so. Oh, and that's was a very bad development for him.
Yes.
They couldn't pay for the hotel they reserved, and many things gone wrong at that time. And we wanted to support them, and so we came. And that year we waited on the customs when they checked. Are we separatists? I don't know, terrorists, Putin's terrorists, which come into Ukraine to kill every Ukrainian citizen?
Wow.
I don't know. They actually wrecked the bags, just tear them open.
Oh.
There's no some keys, nothing. They could ask to open them.
Yeah.
And no, they wrapped it, found no weapons, just T-shirts with furries. We showed them the con book actually of Russian Furence, the military man with the guns and with camouflage, and and they passed us through, so that we mean no harm.
Mostly harmless.
Mostly harmless, yeah, harmless. Fluffy furries. Yeah, but it was fun. I mean, it's an interesting experience. We were walking. The local furries decided to take us on an excursion to the Maidan Square, so where the tents are still holding the
Yes.
slogans and everything. That we were walking there. But the Furence actually was saved. It was, of course, smaller than the last year, but they have managed to pay for all the hotel and everything, and with even to collect some charity on some, I think for some dog saving charity or something like this. Maybe. Yes, so that was a success. I hope next year we will be able to visit. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Nobody knows.
Yes. Okay. So, what? Any questions?
Yeah. So, what do you think, or what do you say is the easiest way to like order the Afi now? Like what
You mean no Arfi, but for a staff box?
No, I
because
mean the
Arfi
Arfi.
is Arfi is a Russian-speaking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, if you want, you just may go to our site and visit, or tell me your contacts. I will write it down somehow. I have no pen. Okay.
I can lend you a pen if you want to.
Thank you.
A computer.
Yes, of course. I forgot. Totally forgot. Thank you.
Of course, we prefer to write down things down with a pen.
No records.
Actually, I have this kind of
Habit.
thing.
Yes.
I always try to write things down, but I try to learn different things.
But you say I can order it on furrystuff.com.
Yes, you can. The last issue,
Okay.
last year issue is still available. Somehow, some kind of. I think 2 of them left. I don't know really. We'll try to print it a little bit more if there will be orders. So it's no problem. So you can go to the site or just write us email or something, and we can send it to you by any means that is possible.
Okay. Remember that.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Another?
During a deal especially, you have a booth.
Oh yeah, we have a small booth. Just
so I can
right.
buy some postcards. and
Yes,
posters.
just on the left from an exit, I think, from entrance. No, exit entrance. And it's a very small half of table. We have some things that you saw in these booklets there. For example, that was not in someone's set. She just left it for some reason, or made a little bit more. Author made a few of them, and one was for a box, one was. But it's not personal things, but just as pillar items, which we saw earlier. Some key rings, some figurines, and actually interesting ones there. If something left, because there were I was a little bit late because I was sitting in dealer's den and I was running to my room for this event, but I forgot some things that I actually have these things at the dealer now, and so you need to return, and there is Fursuit Parade. The Fursuit Parade right behind me, actually, right behind me, because they went to the dealers den, to the street, and they are behind me. I'm running to the dealers den, and behind me this orchestra.
Yes, I do know.
And I'm running to the dealers, and when I took this. The first coming, so it was very blocked, and I couldn't go anywhere from that. But I managed to escape somehow from this wow. Yes, and I'm here. Thank you. Another question. Yes, that will be the conclusion of our event, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you liked it, enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think everybody enjoyed it. Really?
Yeah.
Hello, YouTube.